What's up, everybody? Mike with you, Gunny Brothers Entertainment. So today, in this video, we're going to be talking about my goals, my overall goals. Well, Turbo 7. My goals for this YouTube channel and TikTok as well, because this video will translate back and forth to both. I'll post this on both platforms. But ultimately, we're going to go over my goals and what I hope to accomplish. I read that this might be a good video to put out, and it might help get some more support, subscribers, followers. So hopefully that's the case. So we're gonna put this out. But first, guys, look how cool this little podcast studio thing is, like in the background. I asked ChatGPT to come up with an idea for a podcast studio. I'm like, that's pretty cool. So that gives me some inspiration to make my own. So let's get started with the goals. The ultimate goal on both TikTok and YouTube is to get monetized. Like that's the overall goal, but that's the very beginning of this. So like the ultimate goal is to make a living doing content. Like I'd love to get to the point where like I can live off of just doing content, but it's not just about the money. Um, right now I do work full time, and I do this content creation as well. And I do both like long format YouTube videos, and I do short form with like the YouTube Shorts, and I post on TikTok. And all the videos that I make, I post I post like snippets of the YouTube videos on Facebook and TikTok and YouTube Shorts. But I need to really double down and start being more consistent with posting. But the ultimate goal is to get monetized and to be able to make a decent living doing the content creation. Like I would love to be like where like C-Boys TV, like where they are, or Cletus, or just other big YouTubers, and kind of follow in their footsteps. Whistle and Diesel. All of those guys make. I'm sure they make an incredible amount of money. I don't know the exact numbers that they make. I mean, they do millions of views, and that's my ultimate goal is to be there at some point in time. And I would love to get to the point where I can quit my day job from creating content, but I don't plan to quit my day job until I'm like the income that I make from creating content doubles what my income from my full-time job is, so I can live comfortably while still creating content. But there's some people that like they have they're very selfish, I guess, and they say that like the people that have the selfish mindsets and that make it all about the money, those are the people that don't do so hot on YouTube and like getting monetized. So for me, and I'll be flat out honest with you, like the money's great, you can't live without it, but to me it's not everything. I want to live comfortably in life and not paycheck to paycheck or direct deposit. Times have changed a little bit, but I would love to be able to make a very solid living from doing this content creation, and it's definitely possible. You gotta start getting tons of views, but to get those views, you have to put yourself out there more, and that's what I'm learning in this content creation journey. I mean, I've only been doing content creation for what is it? We're going. It's the end of August. 3 months, 4 months. It's hasn't been very long, so I'm still fairly new. But the things like once I start to make a decent chunk of change, from doing content creation, things that I'd like to fund are I would love to build my dream shop. I've got a garage, and unfortunately, it's not in the greatest condition. When I bought my house, the lady that I bought my house from was very nice, but she didn't know that there were termites in the garage. That the house was treated years ago, and the house, I've demoed multiple rooms in this house, and it's all been clean. But the garage, we never had an inspection done in the garage when I bought the house, and it was just loaded with termites. And I found out one day when I was pulling my lawnmower into the garage, and I went to turn the wheel a little bit, and I wasn't really paying attention to where I was going, and there might have been some alcohol involved, maybe, probably was, but the wheel of the lawnmower went right through the drywall, and well, I seen a bunch of little bugs crawling around, and when I got off the lawnmower and was cleaning up the mess, and a bunch of dirt came out, and so I started cleaning them, and I took a picture of these bugs and I sent it to my dad, I think. And then somebody, and I was like, what are these? And he goes, well, those are termites. So I started pulling sheets of drywall off, and it all just came out in pieces. And sure enough, that's when I learned about termites and the joys of being a homeowner. So the garage has some structural issues, and really the best case scenario to fix it is to just tear it down. It's not really fixable. I mean, it could be fixed, but I don't really want to fix it because I want bigger. But bigger, and my dream shop is something that I can't necessarily afford working my uh, my day job and still paying my bills and taking care of my daughter. That's just something that's like an extracurricular thing. So there's that. But I love motorcycles. You guys know that. I'm into cars, and I would just love to be able to do more, um, but also put that out in content for you guys. And I have the knowledge up here in my head on how to do things with cars and motorcycles, but it kind of hits the pocketbook to where like I can't do all these things because I don't have the funding to do said things. So I would love the opportunity to become monetized on YouTube and take the funding that I get from creating content and put that towards these extracurricular activities. And the same thing with TikTok. Once I'm able to get monetized on TikTok, take that and put that money back into creating content. So not only is my goal to get monetized on TikTok and YouTube, but my goal is to also just have fun and create memories throughout along this adventure. Life's too short to just wake up every day, go to work, and before you know it, you're dead. Life is way too short to not have fun. So in this content creation journey, my my biggest goal is to have fun and create these memories and do things that not many people get to do. And it's that I think that to me would mean more than just getting rich off creating content. Like, yeah, like I said, the money's great, but it's the fun that we could have and the memories that we can create, and not just for me, but to be able to be able to look out for my siblings, and be like, hey, it took me a while, but your older brother finally got his life together, and he's making good money creating content. Let me give back to you. Growing up, I grew up in a big family. I had 5 brothers, 5 sisters, and being the oldest out of the boys, I was kind of the trailblazer to them. Like, it was kind of my job to forge a path for them, and I felt like I did a fairly good job at it. But some of them are kind of stupid. I'm just gonna put it out there. Some of them are stupider than hell, and I don't quite know what they lack. If it's mental stability, and it can't be a bad childhood because they didn't have bad childhoods. They were fortunate enough to have both parents involved in their lives and a loving home and things like that. And I could go in and we could talk about this for hours, but they didn't live the life that, me and Tyler and, my two older sisters, they didn't live that childhood that we did. My dad and their mom are married and they're together. Tyler, myself, and two of my older sisters, our dad and their moms, at least mine and Tyler's mom. Tyler and I have different moms, but he was never married to our moms. I don't remember if he married my older two sisters' mom or not, but that's a video or a topic for a different thing. But I don't know what it is they lack, but I try. I slaved my ass off in my younger years to forge a path for them to follow. Like, I went to trade school for automotive, and I did exceptionally well there. I went to competitions, and I did exceptionally well in competitions. Um, I as soon as I graduated high school, I worked in a dealership, and I realized that I didn't like working on everybody else's car. I like working on my own stuff. So I left the dealership life, and I went into construction, and I bought my own house at 19. Well, I mean, 20 actually, because I actually closed on this house on my 20th birthday. How cool is that? So by 20 years old, I had two brand new cars. It's not a nice house, but for a 20-year-old in your first house, I've been here, how old? 26? I've been here 6 years. And, I've really worked hard to forge a path for them. So I would love to my younger siblings back in the day were my backbone. Like, everybody always said they couldn't imagine having as many siblings as I did, and it had to have been hard. But to be quite honest with you, back then, my younger siblings were like my backbone. I didn't know how to live without them because every one of them were unique. Well, I can't say younger siblings too because my older siblings were just all of my siblings in general were my backbone. Like, everyone is different. They all have different personalities. So, like, depending on the day or how I was feeling at the time, depending on what sibling I could lean on. And they have no idea. But there were days where they were that kind of missing puzzle piece that I needed. Like, I could lean on them, and it was really what I needed. And now, half of them are just dumber than a box of rocks. Like, I don't know what happened. But I would love to be able to be there for those siblings that have it all together and try to help my younger siblings that don't have it all together. I want to be the person that tries to help them out of their tough places. And not just my siblings, but other people. Like, I want to be that guy that people can look up to and be like, this guy, he had a terrible childhood. He went through this, and this, but you know what? He survived. He pulled through, and now look what he's accomplished. Like, I want to influence people to really chase their dreams and do things. Like, I've done things like I had a kickboxing fight when I was younger. I always thought I wanted to be this professional fighter, so I trained for years at one of the best training places around here with a phenomenal coach, and I had a kickboxing fight, and I didn't prepare the way that I should have, and I didn't perform the way that I should have because I didn't prepare. But I won the fight. So another part of me wants to open up, like, or not open up, but help give back to the coaches that I had at the time, and help them build like this complete MMA facility. Because the coach that I had was a former professional MMA fighter, and he was one of the most highly scouted guys in the area. Like, people wanted him, and he's a phenomenal fighter. But life had, he said multiple times on his social media that God had a different calling for him, so he opened up a jiu-jitsu academy, a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu academy. And I think it would be super cool if I could give back to him. He taught me a lot about life, and jiu-jitsu and striking, and there's a lot that he taught me. So I would love to be able to give back to him and his brother and help them like open up this immaculate MMA facility with like a cage and just all sorts of stuff. And I think that would be incredible. But that's also something that takes funding, and I can't afford that just working my day job. So to summarize all of this, my goals with this are to become monetized, make memories, have fun, and give back to the people that mean something to me, and also influence others to chase their dreams and have fun in life. Because life's too short to just wake up today, go to work, come home, be miserable, maybe die tomorrow. Tomorrow's never promised. You always got to wake up and just be positive about life. Because the more negative you are about life, the more negative you're going to feel. And it reflects in everything that you do. I've been down that road, and it tremendously sucks. But that was kind of my overall goals with this content creation journey. So I'm not the kind of guy that is going to say like, share, subscribe in every video, because to me that feels pushy. And when content creators do it, to me it feels like they're begging for it. And I'm not the kind of person that's going to beg for anything. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to scratch and claw and I'm going to fight and I'm going to throw them leg kicks. And I'm going to throw them left hooks and them right hooks and them overhand rights. And I'm going to get to where I want to be. So it might not be today. It might not be tomorrow. It might not be next month. Maybe next year. Who knows? I'm going to get to where I want to be. And I'm not concerned about any amount of work that it's going to take to get there. I want to be a successful content creator. So that's where I'm going to get. I'm going to get to that point. And the amount of time it takes me to get there doesn't concern me, because the journey along the way is going to be absolutely worth it. The amount of things I'm going to be able to learn, the memories I'm going to create, just everything overall is going to make this journey to where I want to be absolutely worth it. I really appreciate you guys taking the time and watching this video. And if you have any tips or things that I can improve on, please drop it down in the comments and let me know. I've only been doing this for a couple months, so any tips or tricks or anything that I can do, if there's any kind of content you guys want to see. I mean, fishing, car stuff. We have the white trash trade up challenge going on. And that challenge, I mean, overall it's going to be pretty cool. But also, like with that, where I'm at is I put the Saturn up on Marketplace, and I haven't done anything to it. I mean, I put gas in it, put a quart of oil in it, and drove it home from, I don't remember where we got it from. It's been that long. But I don't have the extra funding to put into that. So once we're able to get monetized from Facebook, YouTube, or TikTok, then we can start doing extra things like this. When we traded for that car, we were told that it needed some things, and I was okay with a little bit of work. But the amount of stuff that the Saturn needs in that front end to be remotely safe is unnecessary. Like, they should have been upfront and communicated that with me, but that's what you get when you trade for a used car. I mean, people, it's I don't even want to say unprofessional. Like, I want to, but they're not. They weren't very professional people, but it is what it is. That's what you get. I'm not throwing a fit about it. I'm just saying I would love to get this white trash challenge, trade up challenge underway, but that Saturn needs some things, and I wouldn't feel right, I guess. I wouldn't be okay with trading that car for something, knowing the amount of work that it needs, knowing somebody could drive that home and that front end could fall apart any minute. Like it literally needs the passenger side CV axle, it needs the passenger side wheel bearing, and it needs tires all the way around. The beads showing, the wire and the wheels are showing on all 4 tires. So I want to get the wheel bearing changed, that axle's changed. I want to put tires on it, do an oil change, um, and put a new gas cap in it. There's things I need to do to that car before I would be okay with trading it. Like I want to make sure, like in this trade up challenge, like the whole point is to trade up for better, but I don't want my name or like Tyler and I to be associated with trading junk. Like I want to make sure the vehicles that we're trading are safe to be on the road. I don't want some young kid that's thinks it's super cool to be out trading cars and they trade something that's remotely safe. Like I'm not saying it's going to be terrible. Because what really can you get with a Saturn? I've kind of found that it's kind of hard to trade the Saturn for almost anything. Granted, it does need some work, but who really wants a Saturn Ion? Anybody? I don't really want one. I only took it because it got us out of the camper. I didn't want the camper sitting in my backyard for a year and a half. So the first thing we got that wasn't money, I know it kind of contradicts everything. I didn't want to sell the camper. I had plenty of offers for like $800 or $1,000, but I wanted to use the camper and start a trade-up challenge for content. But who really wants to trade for a Saturn? Like, what would you trade with? Exactly. So I don't know, but anyway, that is my kind of rundown on my goals for this content creation journey. I appreciate you watching. Peace.